Lesbia mi praesente vero malaplurima dicit, haec illi fatuo maxima laetitiast. Mule nihil sentis, si nostro oblita tacerat, sana set, nunc quod ganet et oblocitur. Non solum meminit, sed quae multacrior est res, irratast, hoc est urritur et loquitur. Let's say this is one of Catullus's early poems about Lesbia. If Lesbia is the famous, or rather infamous, Clodia, then the Vir referenced here is most surely Metellus Celer, who died in 59 BC. In fact, it was Clodia's freedom after the death of her husband that got her into a lot of hot water with Cicero and the rest of Rome. Although you can see from this poem here that her marriage didn't preclude her from having an affair. And it's obvious that Catullus was heavily involved with her while she was still married. This poem, poem 83, either takes the tack of a lover's quarrel, and thus Catullus's explanation of the quarrel, or how Lesbia herself acts to Catullus only when her husband is around, so that he won't suspect anything. As usual, the first two lines set it up, while the last four reflect on the situation. In fact, the situation is evident purely from line 1 alone. Lesbia doesn't treat Catullus very well when her husband is present. Praesente viro is an ablative absolute, and mi is the shortened form of mihi, which we've seen quite a bit in Catullus. The haec in line 2 refers to the verbal abuse of line 1, and the illi fatuo is in the dative case, dative of reference. However, with fatuo and mula, Catullus is clear that the abuse actually sits with Lesbia's husband. Line 3 gives us a condition, so by looking at the verb, we see its imperfect subjunctive. This is a present contrary to fact condition. If she were quiet, she would be healthy. And by healthy, Catullus really means uninfected with love. Oblita in line 3 is a perfect participle from a deponent verb, so it's active in meaning, perfect active participle. Also, words of remembering or forgetting take their object in the genitive, which explains the case of nostri. This is like our stuff or our relationship. The ganet and oblocitur in line 4 gives us a great picture of how Lesbia does treat Catullus. She snarls, ganet, like a dog, biting his head off, and she interrupts him, oblocitur, and doesn't allow him to get a word in edgewise. These words set up the contrast with tacerat in the previous line. If she had forgotten about Catullus, she wouldn't say a word, but she's overly mean to him. This means she's always thinking about him. Non solum meminit. And the res in line 5 is acrior, more sharp, because of how fierce, sharp, and biting it makes her words and her tongue. And so not only does Lesbia remember her passion for Catullus, she's angry about it. This is good news for him, though, because it represents her inflamed love for him. The parallelism in lines 4 and 6 should jump out at you. She would be healthy in line 4, but she snarls and interrupts. In line 6, she is angry, that's the truth, and she is burning and speaks. Let's read it again. Lesbia mi praesente vero malaplurima dicit, haec illi fatuo, maxima laetitiast. Mule nihil sentis, si nost oblita tacerat, sana set. Nunc quod ganet et oblocitur. Non solum meminit, sed quae multacrior est res, irratast. Hoc est, urritur et loquitur.